YouTube, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. I'm here with my very special guest, Levi. He's from Tip You in the App. Now, Levi put me on his platform a month ago, which it was a blast. We had fun. Crazy story on how me and Levi met. I made a video because I seen him talking about the rideshare business, which my view was like he was, complaining about it. So I end up hitting him up in the DMs and we decided to bring it to the platforms to talk about it. So with that being said, we welcome in Levi on the channel. Now, Levi, for the people that don't know who you are, could you please introduce yourself?
I am a full-time Uber driver. And I say Uber because I don't really do Lyft. I don't do anything else. I don't do DoorDash or nothing else. Up in Syracuse, New York. And I've been doing it about almost 6 years now. In a previous life, I was an executive at a marketing company, did some entrepreneurship, went to grad school for economics, did all that kind of stuff, even spent some time in the military. Now I'm just an old grandfather and that does some Uber driving. But I ain't retired. I got to do this for a living.
Okay, so you fully retired and you just doing rideshare right now as, to keep the bills paid. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I don't, if I were to quit working today, I would run out of money. So
Okay.
I, I gotta work. I gotta work. I'm only 51. I look older than I really am. I'm only 51.
Oh yeah, you super young. You got a bunch of years ahead of you. So
That's
my
right.
first question for you, Levi, and it kind of goes hand in hand with you introducing yourself. For the people out there who might not know you yet, how did you first get involved in the rideshare business? What was the transition like? Because you mentioned you used to run companies. So could you please explain for the people out there?
Yeah. So I was on a business trip in Vegas. It was February of 2020, right before COVID hit. In fact, there was like on the news they had those ships that were getting quarantined and stuff like that. I took an Uber to the airport and I was complaining to my Uber driver, Bronislav was his name. I was like, man, I need to make more money. My daughter, she was in college and she was about to have a baby. My son was about to go to college and there wasn't enough money, it felt like. And I was making good money. But it didn't seem like enough. And Bronislav said, you should Uber drive. Now, I was kind of arrogant. I was kind of like, come on, man. That's not the kind of money I'm looking for. And he said, no, you'd like it. You'd make good money. You make good tips. And so I don't know what did it, but I downloaded the app. I uploaded all my stuff, on the flight back. And that Friday on the commute home, after I got back, I was at work, and on my commute home, I just turned the app on. And I got my first ride within seconds, and I did like 4, 5, 6, 10 rides. I don't know, made like $100, made a little walking around money. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I was like, all right, this is kind of fun. So I made like $100 after 3 or 4 hours. I don't remember.
Oh, I think we losing connection. Levi, can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah, so I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb, so I got a call. Sorry.
oh yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So I
Yeah,
wanted
so
to
that was
follow.
it. That's how I got into it.
Okay, what car did you start in? Did you start in a Tesla?
No, man, I had a Toyota Avalon.
Avalon. Is that a sedan or?
It's like their bigger sedan. It's like their Camry, but just a little bit bigger. They don't make it anymore. It's a grandfather car though. That's legit. Nice.
Yeah. So you was just doing like Uber X. I don't think it qualified for comfort, right?
Yeah, it qualifies for comfort. Yeah,
Okay.
it
So you
qualified for
did.
comfort. I did that. I had that car for 2 years. Then I bought a Prius. I did that for 2 years, and I'm almost 2 years into the Tesla now.
Okay. And how you liking the Tesla? Do you think it's like a good car to have for the rideshare business? For the people
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, the Tesla's pretty epic. Okay, so let's get beyond some of the things. Like I think like the reason why the Tesla is so good is Tesla full self-drive. So if I'm gonna do a 12-hour shift, and I do some really long shifts, right? Putting it in full self-drive, letting the car kind of do its thing, man, just extends your day. It makes things so relaxing. You're not always hitting the accelerator, hitting the brake. You just put the address in where you want to go and let the car take you where you want to go. They're everywhere, so they're not an uncommon car, but people are still mesmerized by it a little bit, stuff like that. I think you can get a pretty good used Tesla out there right now, and it's really good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So moving on to question number two. From your perspective, Levi, what separates drivers who barely survive versus drivers who consistently earn at the highest amount per day? What separates the two? Like, is it
I think
strategy?
there's,
Is it style? Go ahead.
yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I think that there's some cliche things that you'll hear. People will say stuff like you got to know your market and stuff like that. But I think there's some actual tactical, real things that you can do to make more money. So I'm in New Hampshire today. That's why I'm not actually in Syracuse. But if I had to start driving here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, if I wanted to make more money, I would master a neighborhood, right? I would master like and kind of expand out slowly. I think people just turn the app on and kind of like wander throughout their cities, like Houston. I couldn't imagine, but I'd like want to own like a certain neighborhood in Houston and just kind of understand how that works. And I think college towns or college neighborhoods, it depends, are great places to start because there's just a lot of short rides. You kind of get familiar with how the students order. They'll be cheap, don't get me wrong, but you just understand how it works. And then the second thing that I think all drivers should do is understand you're in the customer service business and there's money to be made in tips. Everybody will say people don't tip, people don't tip. And this is not true. That is not true at all. And you can earn more money in tips on the shortest ride from McDonald's, getting some McDonald's worker off of work and taking that dude home. They'll give you a $3, $5 tip. You just got to know how to do it. You got to work in the customer service business and make money that way. So I get tips on about, and I just do UberX. I mean, every now and then I get a comfort ride. I just do UberX, and about 44% of all my rides tip me. And so I'm making somewhere between $200-300 a week in tips alone. So there's strategies, what I'm saying, I guess. And so there's different things you can do, but those are the two things I recommend to all drivers.
Could you expose one of your secrets? What do you do to increase tips? Let's
All
hear.
right. I'll give you all my secrets. Yeah, there's no secrets. Okay, so there's a couple of things. Number one, the ride that you pick is a ride that can tip you. So a good example is like if you know you're going to the airport or from the airport, is a high likelihood to tip. The longer the ride, more likely to tip you, right? The
Right.
more remote the ride, like if you're out in the country and you got to go to the city, the people out in the country are worried that there's no Uber driver going to get them. So they'll tip. The earlier in the morning or the later at night, they'll tip. But the number one thing, I'm telling, nobody believes me, I promise you without passenger rating. Passenger rating. The higher rated the passenger, the more likely they are to tip. And that
Mm,
doesn't and that doesn't mean like a 4 point whatever won't tip you. Of course, every now and then you're going to get a tip.
right.
But a 5-star person or 4.99 or whatever, they're just good people. That's why they're rated so high. It's not because they do tip. It's just that kind, good people do tip, and people that are jerks get low rated. Not because they don't tip, but because they're just jerks, and jerks don't tip. So if you can find rides that'll do that, yeah, that's how you get tips. And then the second thing to get more tips is be all in on customer service. All in. There's no half measure. People will say something like, "Do you let people eat in your car?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do, because I want to get a tip." If I start making rules and I start being a disgruntled driver, trying to set some sort of like, "You're in my car, my rules," well, then you're not gonna get a tip. So I hustle, man. I text the passenger ahead of time. Hey, I'm on my way to get you. I got like a little shortcut, that I text, and then I do. My car's perfectly clean all the time. I clean it 3-4 times a day. I don't have any funky smells. I don't have it like strong scents or anything in my car. Um, yeah, and I drive super smooth. I pretend they're holding like a bowl of hot soup. Right? I don't
Right.
want them to spill that soup.
Right.
And if they want to talk, I'll listen. If they want to sit back there and chill, I'll let them do that. They want to control the radio, that's cool. I'll load, unload their bags. If they want to add a stop, yeah, go for it. Whatever you need. And I hate it. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the stops, but you want to get a tip, you got to do it.
I definitely agree with that 1000%. As like a lot of people don't understand in this business, hospitality, customer service wins all the time, whether you want to build a private clientele or you want to increase your tips. And having a clean vehicle on the inside is super duper key. I don't know how many times when I used to drive, people would tell me the experience they had with bad drivers and dirty cars, which is insane. Like, how you in a customer service business and you don't even keep a clean car?
Yeah, that's so true. And I've gone around it a little bit about this. There were times when I had like mints and water bottles and all that kind of stuff. I had like iPads with video games and all that kind of stuff. But I realize, like, if I just keep the interior black, just black leather, black floor mats, no scents, no nothing back there, then they can project their own thing into this. Instead of me trying to guide them, they do
Right.
their own thing. Then it's, that's even better. So it's easy to clean too. I just take the floor mats out, get a little broom, put them back in, and the floor mats are everything. I think the floor mats and windows are everything.
So you pretty much set the mood, set the tone for your SUV, and then you let them lead, and you just kind of go along with it. Very
That's
smart.
correct. The only thing I do to manipulate things would be music choice.
Okay.
So yeah, so I've got like some Miles Davis, Coltrane, kind of some jazz music that
Okay.
sets a really good tone for certain times of day. There's like this party music. So if I'm pulling up, I'm pulling up at a sorority. Just put on Bad Bunny and some other stuff. You know what I mean? Let them have some fun. If you're going out for party time. So you just and I can always have the music a little low when they get in, and then I amp it up. Like so for Halloween, I had a Halloween playlist. I pick up a lot of Chinese and Korean students. I have a lot of K-pop music, and I pick music that I like, but I
Hmm.
have it ready to go. Oh, I'm picking up somebody, and I can see them walking to my car. I just quickly just hit K-pop, and they love it. And that's how you get tips from that group too.
Wow. So you pretty much know based on the people you picking up how to set the mood. That's super good. Now you mentioned Halloween. So at Halloween, I'm curious, how much did you make when it comes to driving? Sorry, how much did you make driving on Halloween night? What is it?
800,
800?
800. Yeah.
No way. 800? Holy shit. You made more than my drivers. One of my drivers made 700, and that's with Uber Black. So you must have been hustling. What was the strategy? You started early in the morning and drove all the way to midnight?
Yeah, well, we did a YouTube challenge. So if you go to my YouTube channel, it's pretty funny.
Okay.
The guy Zeke, we do some challenge videos every now and then, and we did one Uber ant versus cherry picker. So I dressed up like a cherry, he dressed up like an ant, and we did a little bit of a challenge, and it was a 24-hour challenge. Now, of course, you have to take time off, right? So I was online for 15 hours. Yeah, I did 32 Uber X rides, but it was crazy, man. The surges were through the roof. It was just $30 surge after $30 surge after $30 surge. And I'm taking 5-minute trips, so it wasn't like I was really that smart. It was an easy night.
Were you mainly picking up like big groups or like people by themselves?
Big groups, yeah, but college students. It was all college students. I think
College.
out of all 30, yeah, yeah, I think I did 32 rides, and I think three were non-college students.
And you pretty much got tipped a lot, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I got tipped on about a third of them. Yeah.
Got it. That's very interesting with the college demographic because on the Uber Black side of the business, like that wouldn't be our target audience. Of course, some people they don't have the income yet, they're not in a tax bracket. Also, I noticed like with some college students, not all, some of them are immature. They'll do things in your SUV, won't say nothing, try to roll some weed or have some coke or something, and they just do it and won't tell you unless you look back there. So, have you ever had a bad experience with like college students or no? Since that's your demographic.
You should watch that video because there's like so I pick up this group at a frat house, and these four guys get in my car, but my trunk is open. I'm like, what's going on? So I go back there, and these four girls are trying to climb in my trunk. You
Oh.
know, I'm like I'm cursing at them. I gotta pay my beep.
Oh, wait. So you said three people was trying to get in your trunk?
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah, yeah. So
I thought with the Tesla, I thought the trunk was in the front though.
well, there's a front and a trunk. There's two, man. There's
Oh,
yeah.
okay, it's two. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that, but go ahead.
No, no, yeah, it's cool. No, yeah. So they're trying to get in my trunk, and I think there's like two different types of college towns though. There's like a college town like I don't know, Houston State or whatever. I don't know what college it is. SMU is in Houston, I think, right? I don't know. I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
I But one of the colleges I drive at is Cornell University. It's an Ivy League school, so them kids are rich, man. And so you just gotta. So not all of them are, but when I drive at Syracuse University, that's my alma mater. That's where I went to school. It's a little bit different than when I drive at Syracuse versus like when I drive at like the SUNY Binghamton, the state school. So there's kind of like classes. Cornell, they're paying $100,000 a year to go to school there. So you just got that's a different group. Yeah. But I get most of my tips from the state school kids.
State school kids, you said? That's where you get most of your
Yeah,
tips from?
yeah, for sure. I don't think the Cornell kids are very good at tipping, but that's where I do most of my work. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So we're gonna move on to question number 3, Levi, and that is, sorry, I got my partner in the background. If somebody is watching this video right now and wants to start driving this month, what's the smartest way for them to avoid burnout while still making strong income? Because, being an Uber driver is exhausting after a while. You deal with a bunch of different people. You have good experiences, but you also have bad experiences as well. So how do you know, distribute out of not getting burnt out, but also still showing up every day?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. What do I do? So I have like this metaphor. I think it's unique to like a few group of people. Like I get energized Uber driving because I can compare it to my other life where sitting at a desk on Zoom meetings, making spread, you know what I mean? Working in that sucked. That sucked the life out of me. Like so Uber driving gives me energy, the people. That's what I like most. I mean, it's hard, like I say, it's hard relative to the money that you make. And then it takes like just a couple people to like, give you like a negative experience, people with bad odors or people that are rude to you or whatever. But most of the time I get a lot of enjoyment out of just picking up people. Like I would do it for free if I could. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me to do it when I'm doing it. Now, if I wasn't me, what would I do? I think going to the gym helps because you're sitting. You got to get a fat ass sitting in a car all day. I mean, it just my hips. I'm an old man. My hips must be like 100 years old. And so I'll go to like I joined Planet Fitness, and you know how like Uber takes you all around every now and then. So
Right.
I can go to any Planet Fitness and I can get on the treadmill for 30 minutes, just go for a walk. They got some machines in there to work your abs and your hips, stuff like that. And then I joined Panera. So it always forces me to take a break. I'm like, oh, I can go in there and get a free cup of coffee. So I just go get a cup of coffee and just getting out of the car. And whether you go to the gym, whether you go to Panera, but if you're going to do like an 8-hour shift, finding ways to force yourself to take breaks, I guess would be another way to do it.
Got it. So you like to do multiple things that kind of like keep you tied into it, but also like
Yeah.
you out and about like that. It kind of give like that balance because like you mentioned going to the
Yeah.
gym, you mentioned like going to Panera, you doing multiple things at once, but also driving don't feel like an actual job because you actually enjoy it, right? Am I getting that right?
Right, right. Yeah, and I think there's always these like juxtapositions in life. It's like I'll say I think Uber driving is the hardest job I've ever done, but I've learned to balance it, right? I mean, there are jobs that are physically more demanding. When you and I talked about that, like working in the oil field, that's physically way more demanding. And I think there's more stress, like if you're a firefighter or a cop or something like that, there's more stress and stuff like that. But the level of pay to what we do in dealing with customer service and I think the most stressful part of Uber is the way the app is trying to manipulate you. That's the thing I dislike, right? And so when I said I would do it for free, that means I don't care what the app gives me, right? So to actually lower my stress even more. The most stressful thing to me is the app always playing games with me, trying to like trick me into doing something. I'm like, why are you doing? You know what I mean? So that's the stressful part.
I mean, I agree with that 1000%. And I'll add in, like, to me, it would be the entitlement. Sometimes you deal with some fucking entitled people that are assholes. So I understand that part when you said Uber is like, it's tough, it's hard. Yeah, I understand you on that level because you got to have, man, you got to be super professional even when they not treating you the same. Like, you have to be super duper professional. Now, when it comes to the other side of the business, as far as, driving and dealing with people, for me, it was never really a challenge because, like, of course, like Uber Black play a role. Like, the classism is a little bit different. Now, I'm not saying everybody that's on the Uber Black side of things is like well to do or well put together or professional. No, I definitely had some bad experiences. So
Yeah.
I don't really think too much is classism, but sometimes just people like super duper entitled. So that's like the hardest thing about Uber. And going back to the apps, I definitely agree with you. Like, I even made a video on my TikTok as far as Uber trying to manipulate these drivers. For example, Levi, I got a diamond driver under my fleet. He's one of my drivers. This man got over 12,000 trips. He got 100% acceptance rate, 0% cancellation rate. He take every fucking trip, and he got it on autopilot. You know how like you can set it to where it automatically accept trips for you? And I'm
Yeah.
like, he showed me this, and I'm like, why do you do this? Because he's renting out a luxury SUV. He can potentially build a private clientele and charge more. And he told me, well, Uber would give me more rides. I'm a diamond driver. And I didn't really question him on it. I was just like, okay, cool. And then in my head, I'm just like, man, some people don't understand like this is a system. They want drivers to think that way because there's really no difference between advantage mode and standard mode. It's the same shit. And
It's the
I know
same.
because yeah, and I know because I was a driver and I didn't accept every ride. My acceptance rate was like fucking 12%. Cancellation rate 5%. Like I didn't tolerate bullshit when I drove, but I really didn't notice the difference. So I definitely agree. Like Uber is super good at manipulating these people to think like this good worker, good driver, we gonna reward you.
But you think about his stress level so much less. See, when I'm out there like driving with a passenger, like trying to analyze every trip, like where's this one going? What's this one doing? You're trying to play mind games with an app. The truth is, it's actually probably pretty chill. Just putting the sucker on auto accept and just driving around all day. That would be chill. Now he's gonna make less money, but that's the trade off, right? Let's say he makes $500 less a week. That's a lot of money, right? Doing Uber Black on auto accept or whatever, but it's probably pretty chill for him too. It's low stress. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, but that guy he averaged like $400 or $500 per day. He be crushing it. Yeah, like every day
Nice.
he make about $450, $500. So that's pretty good. And the way my fleet is structured, like I probably take home 30%. My driver's taking home 70% because I'm a fair
Yeah.
guy. I'm not trying to take advantage of people, and I always tell them that 1,000%. Like, hey, I want to make sure you're profitable and you successful in this business as well.
Yeah,
But
that's
we
good. That's really good.
Yes, sir. We will move to question 4. At what point should a driver stop treating this like a side hustle and start treating it like a real business, whether that be building a private clientele or, looking for other different ways to monetize the rideshare business,
Yeah.
whether that be talking about content, whatever. Could you go into that for me?
Yeah, I think it depends on your goals, right? I think a lot of people get into Uber to do two things. These people going crazy in front of me, man. Sorry, they're honking their horn.
Are
What
you
are they
good?
doing? No. Okay, they drove off. They were honking their horn like I thought they were honking at me. Um, the
Oh,
whatchamacallit, I was gonna say is yeah, relax. Come on. All right, cool. Um, no, I think people get into Uber for three things. Like number one, they got to pay a bill. They got to pay a $5,000 bill. And if you paid that bill and you want to still do it, then maybe you should treat it like a business. Or they get into this and like, I need to make $100 a week. All right, well then whatever. Do whatever you want. There's no big deal. But if your goal is actually like have it like recurring supplemental income for your life that you need, then that's immediately when you start to treat it like a business, right? And so if you just need a couple $100 a week and you're just going out for fun, yeah, then it don't matter. Do whatever you want to do. Or if you got to pay a bill and you pay it off, then yeah, just do what you got to do to pay it off. But if you need $500 a week for the rest of your life because you got to pay like not a credit card bill, but like your light bill, then you better start treating it like a business.
that's kind of like what I always tell people because I noticed like a lot of people in this business, especially like I talked to a bunch of people myself, they'd be like, they use it as a flex that they drove for over a decade. But then when I really talk to them, they've still stuck in the same position, still like on some paycheck to paycheck kind of stuff. And I'm like, you've been in this for a decade and you still in this position? Like, what did you do wrong, brother?
Yeah.
What did you do wrong? And I always tell people I'm gonna let you go, but I always tell people identify what you're coming into it for. Like you made a good example. Like if you're gonna come into it to make extra cash, do that. But if you know this is like your bread and butter and this is what you want to do, why not make it a business?
Yeah. No, that's super legit. And when you say make it like a business, I think we should be clear, right? Like a business, understands their revenue and they understand their costs and they understand the value of their time and stuff like that. They
Correct.
understand how to level up, right? So it was really kind of neat listening to you level up into the private business. So my level up was to create a monetized YouTube channel, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's how I level up. So that's where I get more, I can make more potentially to some extent being a content creator than I can being an Uber driver. So that's how each one of us levels up our own way. And I love the people that are able to like get a private client base. That's a really smart thing to do.
Yes, sir. Because now you exercising your options. That way, when the rideshare platform's dead, you're not getting nothing. Now you have private clients. Like I'm gonna go back to a point you made earlier. You said sometimes you pick up out of town people and bring them to the city, but they tip you more because they scared that they might not get a ride going back. That'd be a good opportunity to close on them as a private client because then they in direct contact with you. You know exactly where you need to drop them off. So it's however you want to structure it, but the biggest thing to me is when I talk to people in this business that have been in this for a while and it'd be mainly the ones that complain about it too that have been doing it a decade. Like how you gonna complain about the business and you still showing up? Or like you
I,
striking outside of the airport, Uber, defund Uber, but you still going to drive Uber and Lyft. I don't understand that. That's a little crazy to me.
yeah, I don't understand that either. To me, it's like I'm not saying Uber or Lyft or DoorDash or any of these apps are good. I'm not saying that at all. They definitely have, you know, they're little manipulative companies for sure.
Of
But if you
course.
don't like it, don't do it. Man, this is America. You can do anything you want to do.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
go. You want to be a lawyer? Go be a lawyer. You know, go do whatever you want to do. For me, it's kind of chill. It's kind of fun to get out there, be in my city, drive around, meet people, hang out, put the car in full self drive, get some good stories, make some content, and yeah, I mean, I struggle as an Uber driver today to make $2,000 a week. That's hard. I got to put in a 60-hour shift, driving Uber X, getting, Susie from McDonald's back to her house for $5. but I choose to do it. I ain't gotta sit there and complain about it.
Thank God. Yes. You have a choice. They not saying, hey, Levi, you need to show up to Uber and drive first from 8 to 5 and go home after that. No, you have a fucking choice. It's not them
That's
trying to
right.
be your boss.
That's
So
right.
that's a super good point. And I think you make this rideshare stuff look super duper cool, which I'll go into later. But my next question for you, Levi, is you used to run companies, right? Even
Yeah.
when we first met, you told me on your channel, and now that we on my channel,
Yeah.
you told us earlier you used to run companies and manage large teams. So you
Yeah.
basically was the big boss. People had to respond back to you. So why did you choose rideshare instead of staying in that leadership position specifically?
I think flexibility is one of the reasons why I don't like private clients. The cool thing about Uber app is you can turn it on, turn it off whenever you want to do it, right? But when you work in a company, when you're the big boss, you work for everybody, right? So, my last company, we had about 40 people, right, working for me. And like, I work for them. I mean, I could say I'm the boss. I can fire them, I can negotiate their pay. I could do all that kind of stuff if I wanted to. But my job, if I wanted to make money, I had to make them successful. So I work for them. And I'm sure you're the same way with your drivers. How can you make your drivers successful so that way, they come back to you, right? So you probably work more hours now than you've ever done because you have all these people working for you. Then you got your customers and your clients that you work for. That's exhausting. And so there's a ton more money. You can make four times the amount of money, you know, as an accountant, as an executive. Of course, you can make a lot of money doing that. But for me, the trade-off was time. And during COVID, I don't know, you were what, 19, 18 back then?
Yeah, during COVID, I was 20. Yes,
You
sir.
were 20? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for me, I was like mid 40s. I had a grandkid and I was thinking like, do I really want to be sitting behind a desk the rest of my life? And
Mm,
so for me, Uber just gave me flexibility. See, I have to live a cheap life to live off my Uber money. I can't be extravagant,
yes, sir.
right? So that's what I have to do. But I got time. And that's the one thing that's fleeting. There's no amount of money in the world that's going to give you time. You know what I mean? And that's what this does. It gives me time. I can decide to work when I want to work. I can not work when you just get time. And they'll give me now. I don't make that much money per hour. I guess if I was a billionaire, I'd have time to. but but from a job perspective, it's the most flexible thing I've ever done in my entire life. And that's a luxury that if I want to go to a kid's soccer game, have dinner with my wife, I ain't got to do that. But if I had a private client base, I got to do that. Oh, private client called, I better go work, you know? Or if I worked in the desk, boss needs that report tonight, I got to work. And I'd work till midnight in my office by myself, you know, getting that report done. So just depends on how you look at it.
So really, you transition for flexibility. You want it to be on your own time, pretty much.
Yeah, that's one of my own time. And I just downsize my life enough, right? So I can live a cheap life. I can live off of this Uber income. I don't live in a big city. I live out in the country, right? So I live a cheap life. So that way, if Uber doesn't want to pay me a lot of money, I can still get by.
Got it. And with the companies you ran, did you own them companies or were you just like
Yeah,
man? Oh, okay, you own them.
a
What?
little bit.
Okay, go ahead. Could you go into more detail? Like what were the companies specifically?
Well, one is still, I think two of them are still in existence. I had did three different companies, and all three I was part owner in.
Okay.
So the first one was a marketing company. So when I finished graduate school, they came and hired me, and they brought me in as a partner, and I had a small percentage of the company. And then I left that, sold that percentage of that company back to those guys, and took my equity, and I started my own company. And then I sold my company, which was a marketing company. It was just three employees, just four of us. I sold that to a client, and then I ended up working for that client, but I had a little piece of equity in that. And then we sold that business off. And then I stayed on board just as a straight employee. But for all three companies that I worked at in the private side, I was a partial owner, a minority stake owner, right? Well, the one I own, I guess the second company was mine. I own the whole thing. But when you sell a company, let's be honest, it's not like you're selling Google to people. You know, I'm selling like cash flow businesses, right? Lifestyle businesses. So you're not going to get rich. You might get a couple years income out of that, but you're not going to get private jet kind of money.
Right. Real financial freedom. Yeah, you
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
right.
So when I sold my company to my client, it was like I got a cash check, right? Here's some money, which was good, right? It's like there's a lot of money. And then I got a 3 year wage. It's like for 3 years, he had a contract with me to pay me a wage to manage it. Because I sold it to him, but the business was worth nothing if I wasn't there.
Mm,
So he was buying me, and so he had to pay me a wage for 3 years to stay in and manage it. And there were some bonuses that I had to hit to do that, stuff like that. So like if you were to go sell, like let me give you a fake company, but kind of give you an example because I've gone through it a couple of different times, merger and acquisition. If you were to sell a company, let's say a plumbing company, and each plumber generates $250,000 in revenue, just rough number. So you got like 6, 10 plumbers or whatever. So let's say you're doing 2 million, 3 million a year or whatever. And then but your profitability, you know, is like, let's say 500,000, right? That's not cash flow. It's just 500,000 and whatever. You could probably sell that company for 1 to 2 million. You know, you get 4x revenue, 4x of the profitability. So if it's 500,000 a year in profit, you could sell it for 4 million, a plumbing company. But a marketing company, you'd be lucky to get $250,000 when you sell it. You know what I mean? Because it's only as good as the talent that's on board. The clients can
yeah,
leave the minute you back out and stuff like
you're
that.
right.
So there's not that much money in it, right? So and there's a bajillion different types of companies. Who knows?
Right. And I totally get it because like with marketing, the company is only as good as the person managing it. And everybody managed differently. So the worth
Right.
really goes to the people who running it. 1000%.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So for question number 6, ooh, I got question 6 and 7. All right, we'll shorten them up. But question 6,
What's about it? I got all day, man. We do whatever
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what's something the average driver misunderstands about the algorithm and earnings model? Because go ahead.
Yeah, I think what do they misunderstand? I think I think they think there's a person behind the scenes trying to screw them over individually. You know, I think that's personal. Like they'll think like, oh, the Uber app is what do they call it? Throttling me. And I don't think it operates that way. I don't think the Uber app is the algorithm is fair or is good, but I don't think it's throttling individuals. I think it's just an algorithm that's set up to maximize efficiency. And for whatever decisions you're making, and I don't know what those might be, that's why you're getting throttled. So you have to make the choices. Now they do treat drivers differently. So I think I might take that back a little bit. There's a driver, Zeke, that I do a lot of videos with, right? And he gets more bonuses than I get.
Mm.
And I get bigger surges. So if the surge is $10, he'll see $6. We've been sitting right next to each other all the time, constantly. And so I just get bigger surges, but he gets bigger bonuses. But I don't know if that's the app trying to manipulate either one of us. I think it knows the way that we're driving and it's trying to maximize efficiency in that space. So you just have to know, you have to play the cards that you're dealt. If that makes any sense. Like it's not trying to screw you over as much as it's trying to get it's like any other business. I'm trying to justify or to validate a little bit what Uber's doing. Uber's trying to make as much money off of you as a driver as possible.
Yes.
That's it. And you can't take it personal. I mean, I do, but you can't.
Yeah, but
You gotta know what it's doing.
1000%. So really, they just trying to learn you as a driver and see what works best for you, like your driver pattern or driving pattern.
Correct.
And then that's how they decide how they gonna treat you as a driver. So yeah, you nailed it 1000%. When I first started driving, I never really cared about that. I still to this day don't give a fuck about it because I don't look at Uber or Lyft like that. I'm just like, okay, I'm here to make some money real fast and go home. I don't look
Yeah.
at it that deeply, but I do think it's important to understand it because understand it and help educate others because a lot of people don't understand that. They a slave to the app. So they think everything they see and Uber send them is just true and they believe it and then they'll get on that wheel or treadmill and just work, 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 work. And on the back end, Uber profit off that.
Yeah, and I think Uber needs to turn a profit. I think people there are drivers that take a lot of pride in Uber losing money with them. And I'm like, well, think about it from Uber's perspective. If Uber's losing money with you, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Uber's going to try to like give you the best rides? They're going to try to do so. And I'm not saying you because I don't know what the passenger pays. I'm just saying like you have to you have to look at each ride when it comes in and set your goal and operate the way you want to operate. And if the ride fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Don't get caught up in because that algorithm's way more advanced than any of us. As if
Very
I'm going to be able to manipulate it. As if I'm going to be able to control it. As if there's nothing I can do. Just play it the way it is. Don't get me wrong. I still get upset. I'm not going to pretend like I'm in my car going off, but you just got to let it go. You can't because it's a burden you can't.
You just can't take it personal. That's the best advice I could give. Can't take it personal. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And if you want different, you go create different. Uber,
Yes.
billion dollar company. I had somebody ask me a couple weeks ago, that he was basically saying, man, you gonna go out of business. You get the trolls, the people that talk negative and stuff, and I'm laughing. I'm
That's
like,
right.
how will I go out of business and Uber $1 billion company? It will always be ways to make money in the transportation business. You just got to know how to do it.
That's right. And it's okay if you go out of business too, because you know what? As long as you're good with your money, you can just start another one. No
Exactly.
matter.
And also everything in life is a learning experience. That's what I love most. And I'm in a crucial learning stage, which is super duper important. And I'm all for
Yeah.
educating others and bringing awareness to different situations. So I think it's cool for me and you to both get on these platforms and help inform other people about talking about this business. I think it's super duper
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, one last question before we wrap it up, Levi. What is one mistake you constantly see new drivers make that immediately kills their earnings?
Ooh, that immediately kills their earnings.
Yes, sir.
What do they think? I think overvaluing their costs. Let me explain. So my background's in economics and accounting, right? So I'm a cost accountant. And I know exactly how much my car cost me per mile and all that kind of stuff. If you can drive the revenue number up, you got to always do that. Like it's okay to eat a little bit extra costs if you're going to push your revenue number up.
Right.
So I think the biggest way drivers hurt their earnings is my not understanding the value of their time. So it's a fine balance, but you gotta you gotta understand that there's nothing wrong with a $5 ride. That's 5 minutes. That's a good ride.
Agree.
You know, but people will go. well, it's X number of miles. They'll start to overanalyze it, start to overthink it, and they'll start to think about miles. Miles is a cost. It's a real cost. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but it's like one of those things you got to look at every week. Go like, how many miles am I driving? How can I drive a little bit less miles? But you can't look at every ride and go, you got to look at a $5 ride and go, if it's 5 minutes, that's a good ride, and kind of understand the value of your time. Whereas like a $300 ride, and I've done those, where you go to another state, it might be a lot of money, but then it's not a good use of your time or your miles. So I guess how do drivers, they get caught up? They look at the big number, I guess would be a better way to say it, not understanding the value of their time. And um, what's another thing new drivers do? I'm trying to think. You got some good questions, man. I haven't thought about these. Um, well, because I'll tell everybody on my YouTube channel, it isn't like here's a tip and a trick on how to make more money. You might get a little bit of that. It's about how to stay mentally in the game is what
Right.
my channel is about. Yeah, because I think that if you're mentally strong, you'll make good decisions, and you'll end up. Because I don't know Houston. I've never been to that city in my life. I've never driven Uber Black. I don't know. So how can I tell anybody any advice on how to drive Houston in traffic, whatever? I don't know. So I don't
Exactly.
try to get too specific with everybody. But I think mentally, people just make mental mistakes by not understanding the value of their time. And so if your job is to go out and make $5,000 to pay a bill, then you take that $300 ride out of state because you know you're gonna get $300. Just get it. Don't
Right.
worry about your miles. Don't worry about your miles. Just make. You need to get $300. There's $300 right there. They're giving it to you. Take it. Now for a person that's operating like a business, you need extra whatever. Then you might do things a little bit different, and you can't just go. That's my latest videos about that. It's like I sat parked for 2 hours making $0 because everybody says the criteria for making money was X, Y, and Z. So as a cherry picker, my rule was I couldn't take a ride under $10. So for 2 hours, I didn't make any money because I'm prideful. I'm not gonna take a $5 ride. Or I could have taken probably 10 $5 rides, maybe 50, $60 easy, not including tips. But that was the game at the time. That 2 hour time period, that was what I should have taken. So you just got to know the value of your time. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, that was very helpful. I think the audience would appreciate that. Yeah, know the value of your time and have mental resiliency. Another thing I would add in is just if you going to be a nitpicker, what I mean by that is talk about mileage and all of that. Make sure you do that or you track that every week. You shouldn't do it every day because each day will be different. One day you might get a bunch of rides with short miles, and then one day you might get a bunch of rides with long miles. So if you
Right.
really want to get analytical about it, I think you should track that weekly, not every day. Each day
Yeah.
gonna be different.
And if you're going to track it, which you should, by the way, I'm down for it. Make sure you do the proper accounting. So let's say you're saying your depreciation is 15 cents every mile. That's cool. Make sure at the end of the week you put that 15 cents times whatever. Let's say you drove 1,000 miles, then you should pay $150 in a bank account because that's how you accounting for just saying my cost is $150. Well, that means you got to spend that money somewhere. So you take that money out of your checking account and you put it in your savings account, $150, because that's your depreciation. So you can take that $150 and pay down your car if you want, or you can take that $150 and put it, when you transfer into a new vehicle, whatever you want. But you can't say, here's my cost, and then not put that money somewhere. So that's the thing that probably aggravates me the most is people talk about how expensive it is. I'm like, well, but they ain't saving the money. I'm like, well, then you're just spending it. So what good is that?
Yeah, you're not good with money management at all. One thousand
Yeah.
percent. Now I want to end this because I feel like as drivers, we don't get enough coverage. Like passengers that we pick up don't understand what drivers go through.
Yeah.
So I guess my last final real question would be, what do passengers not understand about drivers specifically?
Um, yeah. What did I understand? I think there's a lot of assumptions. Now we come at it from two different worlds, right? You're a young man, you know, young, good looking, a lot of hair, old, bald, so I think people think that Uber drivers, and there are a lot of, I think majority of them maybe, are desperate for money.
Mm,
And that could be the case, right? But I think there's a lot of drivers that have learned how to live an okay life doing this. I think I have. And so I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people get in the car and they ask me questions, Trey. They ask me in a way it's like, what happened to you? Why are you Uber driving? Like, are you okay? Like, damn, you got a gambling addiction, or I don't know what do they think, you know. So I think there's that, and I think the second thing is that people think it's about driving a car around, and that's the easiest. Yeah, yeah, but you're driving strangers in strange places late at night, bad weather, and you're trying to provide customer service, and this app is trying to trick you all the time. And so you're going 75 down the interstate through an intersection, you know what I mean, like merging traffic, and Uber's like, take this ride, and you're like, you're gonna die
Right.
trying to figure out, and then the passenger in the back like, hey, turn the music up, man, let's do this. So you're trying to do all this. So it's not just driving a car. I think if it was just driving a car, Waymo and Robotaxi would be a lot bigger. But they know it's a lot bigger than it's fleet management. It's taking care of your vehicles, customer service. It's like the nuances of knowing, like, I'm in a parking lot here, of going around the parking lot. So you put the car on this side so the person gets in that door over there. It's like the
Yeah.
small little things. You got to think about those things when you drive your car every day to and from work. You're driving the same route by yourself in your dirty car. You can do whatever you want, but when you're driving a car for people, it you have to, if you want to make money, it's work. You got to think about it. You got to do good customer service. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 1000%. It's kind of like you running a transportation company. You the employer, employee, and you got to understand the business if you still want to be profitable. You got to know the ins and outs of the business. So if you're watching this video right now and you're a Uber driver, Lyft driver, just know you're really running like a transportation company yourself. You just the only employee. You're the employer and the employee. Because
Yeah,
you got to understand the logistics to make money, you know?
yeah, for sure. And I think there's a world of opportunity. I think what you're doing is the way I would do it. Now, people ask me why I don't do private rides. I think time is a big issue, but there's a bigger challenge for me, is that in the state of New York, I gotta get livery plates. So I have to get a car separate out for that. And that car only qualifies for Uber Black. But we don't have Uber Black where I live. So it means I can't do Uber and private rides. I could do one or the other, right? So I'd have to get a livery car. Let's say, like me, I'd be getting that Cadillac Escalade if I'm going to do it. the big one, the big
Right.
one. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get the $120,000 one, but yeah. And I got a bad habit. This is a bad thing. I like new cars because I don't want to get somebody else's mess, you know. So I
Very
mean,
true.
I'm gonna be spending that $1,200 a month in car payment too, or whatever it
Um,
is. I
uh,
know, I know. That's all right. That's all right. I got nobody else's fart smell in my car. It's mine.
I
No,
kind of
but
want to go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but I was gonna say, the to but it's just impossible for me because then I'd have to have two cars. So I'd have to go out Uber drive in my Tesla or whatever, and then I'd have to, if I gotta do a private ride, I'd have to go home, get that other car, and then drive it. So I could either do a transportation private livery company, or I can do Uber. And there's a trade-off in money for sure. But then I'm valuing my time. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't want to do Uber tonight. I don't have to. Nobody gonna call me and ask me for a ride, so I don't really care. So
Right.
that's the. But I think the way you're doing it, if I was in Houston, if I was in LA, I would get a, I would get a used one, but I would get a car that could do Uber Black and start just transferring people. I think you're right. IDing people that you can turn into a private customer, because they'll pay you a lot of money. They pay you a lot of money.
I
I know. I got one lady that wants to pay me $500-600 a day just to drive her every day.
Holy cow. See,
You know what I mean?
that will replace your labor from having to be on the apps. That's why I be trying to teach to people. And
Yeah.
also like going outside of, see, I teach people how to go outside of the rideshare platforms. I'm not teaching them how to solicit their business to Uber customers. Now it's a little bit
Exactly.
different if they aggressive and want your business specifically, but my style is more so catching them out in public, whether that be coffee shops, whether that be hotels, whatever. Learning how to walk up to people and sell them your service. That's kind of like one of my biggest things that I teach and help people. Um, and it works because it's like Now you're able to stack more income on top of whatever you're making off Uber and Lyft. And now you might go from 300 a day to now you're making 800 to 1,000 per day.
That's
So,
right. I,
but
I, I,
go ahead.
I don't have. I have a thought for you, and you take it for what it is, man. Number one, you should be golfing because you know people at the golf course be looking for sure, and so go join a private country club, and you'd make bank. But the thing I was going to tell you, I think would be even better is make your stuff sound really exclusive. Like they lucky to have you as their driver. Be like, I don't really have a lot of clients, just kind of, maybe, but don't be telling your friends about me, because then it just elevates the premium of it. And the example I use is my son. My son he ended up being a Division I soccer player. So he's a great athlete. And I remember when he was like 6, 7, 8 years old, I can't remember how old he was. Like this guy walked up to us, me and my wife, he's like, hey, your son looks really good. We got the soccer club, it's invitation only though, and it's kind of like he may be good enough, but if he gets in, he's in. And it was kind of like it made me want my son to be in that. It was exclusive, right? So if I was doing private rides, that's how I would do it. I'd be like, hey, you and me, I don't have a lot of private clients. I'm like your chauffeur. Don't tell your friends, knowing all along they're gonna tell their friends,
Of
right?
course. Of
Right.
course.
But then you elevate your price point just a little bit more. You just get a little bit more, and I love, what I mean? That would be epic. Yeah, you just a little bit more on your price point, and then like, hey, my friend really needs a ride. You sure? I was like, okay, I'll help your friend out, but I ain't gonna do it for everybody. And
Yes.
just,
When it
it
comes
just
to
elevate.
sales, when it comes to sales, it's how you dress it up, man. That's what
That's
make
right.
people want to buy. So that's pretty much what everything in life. But it's crazy you say golf because I'm actually finna start practicing now. I'm planning on working with this instructor. He's actually my barber too, but he played golf like he actually real good. So he said he would teach me, and literally we talked about it the other day. So I'm gonna go grab some golf clubs this week and get the practicing so I can learn, start networking with people at the golf course, and yeah, take everything to the next level.
Dude, plunk down the $20,000 to $50,000. I know it sounds like a lot of money. Join yourself a private country club. Poof, your life will go through the roof, man.
Yes. Even when I drove, so it's this famous golf club here or golf course here in Houston or country club. It's called River Oaks Country
Yeah.
Club. It's like the richest golf course here in Houston. Nothing but like billionaires and mega millionaires. So I actually whenever I used to drive, I dropped off clients there. And me having conversations with them, you know, these are different people, man. Like once you in that class of people, it's like ain't nothing you can't have. Or, it ain't no people you can't get access to. So I definitely
Uh,
agree with you.
hey, I'll leave you with one final thought before you go, because I don't know how to go. I can stay here all night. But when it comes to golf, here's my advice. Now, I was a golf pro, not a touring pro. I'm not Tiger Woods or nothing like that, but I played a lot of golf in my life. You know what people want? They don't really care if you're good or bad. They don't care if you shoot 120 or 72. I mean, it's cool if you shoot 72 if you play good golf, but they just want you to be a friendly, professional, fun person on the golf course.
Hmm.
Like if you go out there and you start throwing your clubs, having a hissy fit, being all whatever, nobody gonna like you. But if you're out there just like having a good time, being nice, obeying the etiquette, golf has got a lot of etiquette. But if you do that, people don't care what you're gonna shoot. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
We'll do that. We'll come down. I'm coming down to Houston then next summer for the World Cup,
please.
and then we're gonna play some golf.
I would love to have you. I am not joking. I think we can make a lot of good content. But I also
Yeah.
wanted to go back to one more point from earlier that I asked you when it comes to like passengers not understanding, or when it comes to passengers not understanding like their drivers. They get
Yeah.
in, look at you, be like, "Damn, how did you get here driving people around?" But I think that was like the biggest challenge for me because like whenever you hear Uber, you like Uber, like you drive Uber, it's like a turn off. So that's
Yeah.
something like I struggle with starting out to be as honest, as transparent, because
Yeah.
I ran across like a lot of entitled people, even with Uber Black, even though it's a class difference, they still look down on you. So I would
Oh,
tell
no
all the
doubt.
people out there watching, man, don't take no offense to that. Just understand that you're in this position for a reason, and it could be potentially be a stepping stone. Your outlook is everything. Your framework is everything. So it's only going to be as good as you look at it. I already knew like for me, it was just going to be temporary.
Yeah.
Really, I just got into this business to understand it for what it is, and now I'm actually helping other people by providing multiple opportunities. Not just through talking about this with content and talking with other influencers in this space like Levi, but
Yeah.
also having cars that people can drive and also giving them private clients. So it's cool, to look back as far as starting low and then you slowly start to climb that ladder. So this
Yeah.
interview was great and amazing, Levi. It was a pleasure to have you on the platform. We can sit here and talk all day. And I want to give Levi his flowers because Levi make this damn Uber stuff look good. Like if I wasn't in this business, let's say I was a millionaire, doing something else, he would make me want to drive Uber. Watching his videos is so captivating. Now on my platform, it's simple edits, basic. I just give free information. But Levi really dress it up. Like he's one of the top, one of my top one influencer in the rideshare space because it's not a lot of people talking about it. So whenever you can link and connect with people like that, I think it's a cool, dope experience.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So we've been doing some fun stuff. So if people go out and look at my YouTube channel, we've been doing some fun stuff you know, like we did a challenge on Halloween, like cherry picker versus ant. And he was dressed up like an ant and I was dressed up like a cherry. And man, it's a fun YouTube video. We did like a 3 day challenge, like who could make the most amount of money. That was a lot of fun. I think we got some other ones like Uber versus Lyft. We got some fun ones where like we're gonna do DoorDash on bicycles.
Nice. See,
But then as like but if you go too slow, you get the beach cruiser bike, so you got to go fast, so we got some fun challenges. So make some money, do like that. And so everybody's got their little thing when it comes to Uber, because very few people can live off of their Uber income. And so whether you become a private driver and you got a fleet of vehicles, or you just got monetized, that's what you put on X, right? So you become a content creator, be a consultant. There's a lot of things that you can do from this. This is a great opportunity in your life, and God has put you as an Uber driver or a Lyft driver or whatever. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Just do what you got to do. If you need to make $5,000 to pay that bill off, do it. Go grind it out, make that money. And if you need to do this as a job, do it and just live within your means and level up. There's something out there for you. Maybe take night classes. Like when you're driving around between rides, listen to, some material and go to class at night or whatever it is. I don't know, but it is what it is. You can't go around complaining about it.
there's no other flexibility than driving Uber. I'm gonna be as honest, as transparent. You're not gonna be able to do this doing no other type of job. Now, it may be jobs out there that we don't know of that maybe allow flexibility, but you're still gonna be tied down to it. Being an Uber driver, you call it quits when you want to call it quits, which is like the best part about
Yep.
this business. Also, I want to add in with Levi. This guy is, like I said, number one in my books because he was at the top of the mountain. This man, I like to say, it's not humiliation, but if you're able to be as honest, as transparent, and humiliate yourself in front of thousands, if not millions of people, to let them know you manage companies and you decided to get off that ladder to become an Uber driver, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's tough to do. Not only that,
I
but
think
talk
humility
about
is the
the
right word.
business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only that, but also
Humility
talk.
is the right word. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's humility. Like, for you to talk
Yeah.
about that because a lot of people will be looking at you like, "What's wrong with him? Like, is he all right? He wanted to become an Uber driver." So that's challenging to do, and like, I respect that. I respect the hell out of that. Even me, it was
Yeah.
kind of hard to humiliate myself because I didn't want people to know I was driving Uber, or even like when I was driving trucks, like a truck driver. I didn't want people to know that because that's low IQ stuff. Like people think you like not intelligent or you don't know how to create a skill set. But being an Uber driver, Lyft driver in the transportation space is a skill set because it's not just driving. It's multiple different things that come with this business that you have to learn. And you got to know, like customer service, hospitality is a skill set. Not everybody have those skills.
Yeah, man. And who cares what other people think about me? I don't know who they are.
Yes,
Okay.
very,
I
very true.
don't care. I don't care. That's the best part about getting old, man. I've been married 27 years. The only person I got to make happy is my wife, man. And so everybody else, man, I don't care.
Best mindset to have. But with that being said, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to our video. Make sure y'all show love to Levi Page, his channel. I'll link it in the description. It's Tip You in the App, the best rideshare platform on YouTube right now. You know, we call him Grandpa Levi, the biggest on the platform. So make sure y'all check him out on YouTube, also TikTok. I'll link all his socials in the video, also in the description. But with that being
Yeah.
said, y'all, did you have anything else, Levi, before we get out of here? All
No,
right,
man.
go ahead.
No, that was it.
Oh, that's it. Okay, cool. So yeah, y'all, with that being said, I'll catch y'all next video.